Warp Core Breach, Episode 42. The Meaning of Life.
Captain, enemy ships decloaking off our port bow.
They're charging weapons!
Shields up, red alert!
They're firing!
Containment failure detected. Warp core breach imminent.
Welcome to Warp Core Breach. On this episode, Nick and David recap the classic movies OP series. Would Be Nice's take a look at their Enterprise B. Griffin destroys the weapon platform, and then we all try to fix the damage deck, and then share our top non-Federation, non-cloaked mine tech. Oh, yeah, and apparently there's a Star Trek movie coming out or something.
Warning. Warp core breach detected.
I'm David Montgomery, and here's my co-host.
The Romulan ale to my Pan-Galactic Gargle Blaster.
Or the answer to my question. Whichever floats your boat.
42? Does that mean something to you?
It should. It really should. I think we established that you're the much bigger Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy nerd in this relationship, but I definitely do appreciate what Douglas Adams had to offer.
Yes, and while I may not have a towel handy, I do have 3 face towels. There's shrinky little things that you get at the dollar store. Mine all have Superman on them. Yes. But doesn't it mean something else to us, David?
Well, it is our 42nd episode of Warp Core Breach, and it is our 1-year anniversary.
Yay!
Actually, our 1-year anniversary was a couple weeks ago, but this is the first time Nick and I have recorded a show, so it's our 1-year anniversary a tiny bit late.
Oh.
It's, time flies.
Sure does. Time's arrow?
We came into this with so much hope and optimism. Now we're left picking up the pieces.
But I love the pieces of this wonderful game.
Oh, the pieces are so much fun.
Oh, yes.
I mean, you get big pieces like the new Borg cube with sphere port. I finally got mine in.
Oh, I'm still drooling for it. My shop has not been able to get it in, and I'm holding back. I don't want to send my money to the other shops in the area because Magic Stronghold has been so good to our group. I don't want to have to wait another month. Assimilate me! Assimilate me! Resistance is not Canadian.
That's the problem. The Canadian Borg ask permission first.
And in French.
Oh, see, that's the problem. You're trying to sign a French user agreement, and everybody knows English. And
I don't even know much French.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I took German in college. Can't help you there.
Sehr gut.
Yeah, sehr gut. But yes, it is pretty. The sphere is very shiny.
Shiny.
Yeah.
You can't take the sphere from me. Are we the Borg coats?
See, it's sitting right next to my Xindi weapon, and it makes the Xindi weapon look so very tiny.
Well, you get one more, then the Borg will have balls.
Oh. No, that's what the spheres are for.
Oh, those are probably like,
Kidney stones?
Oh, kidney stones! Ay, ay, ay!
Okay, this is going down a bad path. But that's my next mission to play, is the Borg mission. I've seen people talking about it on the community, and I love it. It is such a cool mission. I'm envious. I want to get it to the table, and I have the people that want to get it. Just last week at game night, one of my regular guys who has never played Star Trek was like, "Hey, David, when are you going to teach me how to play Star Trek?" I was kind of taken aback, and I'm like, when are you free? 'Cause we'll make this happen. I just gotta know so I can bring all my stuff.
Right.
It's not exactly an easy process. I can't bring just a little Star Trek. I gotta bring all.
All your bases belong to us.
Yeah. I don't exactly travel light with Star Trek these days.
Yeah, I use a cart, a folding cart, to carry all my stuff.
Yeah, that would be good.
Well, just think, I won't need anything to carry my oxygen tank when I'm 90.
Or anything new.
Anything extra.
Yeah, there you go. You'll just have to carry less Star Trek with you.
Well, at that point, I'll probably have to back up a bus to the store. And not the short bus either, folks. Ba-dum-bum.
Let's hope WizKids keeps going with Star Trek Attack Wing for that long. I'm down.
Yet shields are up.
Yeah. So, speaking of those shields being up, I did get to play Destroy the Scimitar as the mission that came with the Valdor. I have to say, for it being as hyped as it was back when the game first came out, it does not hold up.
No?
No. Here's the thing. It has 16 durability. You get to take 150 points in, spread out 50-50-50.
Yeah.
And 360 fire for like a Fed ship, the Regent's flagship. It just kind of leaves this taste in your mouth, and you're like, I can hit it. And maybe the Romulans were just getting bad defense rolls, but we kept putting damage on it, and it never felt really under pressure. They did like half the damage to Voyager, and that was about it.
Maybe you need to limit yourself to 90-degree firing arcs in that scenario to make it work.
I guess, and not take Voyager Regent's flagship, but...
Or Enterprise D.
Yeah, maybe even native 180 arcs would work.
It'd be a compromise, but the strength of that scenario is that the erratic behavior of the Scimitar, you don't know which side it's going to be on. But if it doesn't really matter, then what's the point? It loses its strength.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking if you bring in, like, Tiny Prize or the Hathaway or something, and you don't put on Type 8 and upgrade it. Because, 5 dice with quality is just not fair.
Yeah, but even if you kept it thematic and, say, did, like, the Enterprise E with dorsals and other things like that, it probably still wouldn't be very balanced because the 360. So yeah, I think your idea of going a little scaled back would be a good compromise. Reduce your durability a bit, keep your attack down, make it a challenge again.
Yeah, I think the way to play that scenario now is probably the Enterprise E, go ahead, put dorsals on it, but then have 2 Valdors. Make it what it was in the movie.
Yeah. And
kind of play it as close to the movie as possible. So bring in the Valdor, bring in the Vrax, put Denatra on the Valdor. But I have to say, trying to put 50 points on a Valdor is tough.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have a tech slot, and you end up spending points on a weapon that you don't really want.
True.
But,
Well, one thing I like to do with scenarios that feel a little underpowered is when there's a ship that can roll defense as like an NPC, I automatically convert all of its battle stations to evades. And if it's still not challenging enough, then convert battle stations to hits for their attack.
Well, and it does get a battle station token for attacking. And that helps it. But it doesn't solve everything.
That's why the defense and durability angle.
Yeah, that might be overkill because of 6 defense dice every time it defends, plus keeping its shields up, but I could see it maybe getting an extra guaranteed evade every time.
Well, it depends on how much challenging you need to make it. Like, if it's a bloody cakewalk, then yeah, do full conversion, but if you just need a little bit of a leg up, then I like your idea.
Yeah, sure. the nice thing was, it was a great learning experience for a good friend of mine who had never played a tabletop minis game. And he's interested in it, not necessarily on an OP level, but on a campaign level. And that's a great thing. We found a scenario that was cooperative, that let us do what we wanted to do, work together, and then he didn't have to worry about going up against me, and that made him feel more comfortable, because then we could talk about strategy, tactics, how to go after it. He could ask all the questions he wanted to ask, and that's a lot better than going, I'm trying to compete against you, and you played 100 games of this, and I played none? Yeah.
True.
So have you been up to anything in Star Trek this last few weeks? It's been a while.
It has been. We've had some pretty exciting casual weeks where we've added like 4 or 5 new players, actually. So that's quite nice. They're not going to be able to all make it every week, but frequently enough, and made a new really good friend.
Awesome.
Yeah, and on top of that, we got to cap off our classic movies. That was the first time we added 3 completely new players. And one of our new players, who's only been playing for a month, just narrowly beat me out for first place for the OP3. And it was because of a roll-off. Yeah, we came to a perfect tie. We each took out each other's blind booster, so it was 40 points apiece, and then had to roll off. And then once the event came down to the end, we were tied completely, save for the roll-off. So, kudos to him.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a tough day.
Mm-hmm. But it was cool, and given that they were new to that event, they weren't eligible for the grand prize, but our regular ringer, Jason Van Fraser, he won the grand prize, Enterprise A, and was quite happy.
Hey, no reason not to be. That's a great ship.
Yeah, and my buddy Steven and I got to train 2 new players last week. Very happy to welcome them to our group. So that's 5 new players in the span of 3 weeks. Can't complain.
Well, that's the way to do it. That's called growth and exposure. Even if they don't all come back, ever, you're still exposing the game, and that's a good thing.
That's true, but given that the first 3 people are pretty much a team, they're all friends that moved to British Columbia from Alberta, and they all pretty much work in the same field, I think they're going to be coming back fairly regularly when work permits.
Oh, well, that's even better.
Oh, yeah. And as for the other 2, total Trek nerds. Love them. I definitely get the strong impression both from their verbal commitment and their excitement that they'll be back. One of them bought a starter and the re-release of the USS Enterprise right off the bat. And the other one is likely to be picking up a starter this week, from what he tells me.
Well, good.
So, you can't argue with a commitment like that.
No.
Yeah. So, I'm pretty excited. And I'm looking forward to seeing Star Trek Beyond on Saturday. That's when our Attack Wing group is getting together to go.
Cool. I will... By the time this goes to air, I will hopefully have seen the movie. I'm planning on going midnight release, so... That's my plan.
Yeah, and for those of you in cities and countries with theaters that support this, there's going to be... pop toppers that have 3 different ships available. You don't necessarily have to go for the combo. They're something like $2-3 and you get a topper. One of them is the JJ Universe USS Enterprise, the SS Franklin, which is hugely reminiscent of the Enterprise NX-01, but actually a bit predating that from the looks of things, because they're calling it a Warp 4 ship. And then the third ship that you could get is the Swarm ship, which is basically the bane of the Enterprise's existence, from what the trailers tell us.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea if my theater will have those or not, but we'll find out.
Yeah, we may end up seeing tons of these on eBay or even the marketplace, because The Star Trek Attack Wing Philippines group posted a message about this on the Star Trek community and Facebook, and they're not sure if they're going to get it, but I can imagine that people that would go and get extras might want to try to make them available to others, because people are already talking about dream cards and ways of including them in Attack Wing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Already I'm dreaming up ways to have the swarm ships as like a fighter squadron.
Because that's all we need.
Shred the enemy ship. Sacrifice token. Ignore shields and take down some hull.
Ew. Yeah, that's messy.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to see how they play out in the movie before we really start designing cards.
Yeah. One thing to note when comparing the different Star Trek JJ-verse, or Kelvin reality, or whatever they're calling it nowadays, the newest version of the Enterprise has rear-swept pylons for the nacelles, and the older one had straight up and down pylons, and that's clearly evident when comparing the Star Trek Expeditions HeroClix JJ Prize versus the new topper.
Interesting. So a little bit of a refit?
Yeah, very, very minor. Also, another funny thing I noticed when comparing the two is there's kind of like a squashed oval pattern at the back, which is the impulse engines on the ship, but on the topper toy, the impulse pattern is actually on the top back of the saucer. So a little bit of oops on the design there, but interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, hopefully that's not how it is in the movie.
Well, if it is, it sure helps them go down. Well, we did see how the JJ Prize kind of popped up out of the clouds, when it was coming through, was it Saturn's rings, I believe it was? So
I think
next
so,
time we'll just see it going down into something.
Yeah.
Well, I'm, for one, excited to see one of the last performances by Anton Yelchin.
Mm-hmm.
He certainly made a cool Chekhov.
Yeah, it was good fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, our main topic for today, we wanted to kind of recap the classic movie OP storyline. It's something a lot of people have been able to play. Some people have still yet to play their Voyage Home scenario. Other groups here and there are partway through, maybe haven't even started Wrath of Khan, but the bulk of people that are keeping up with the releases have finished Voyage Home, and that kind of gives us a good end point to say, hey, let's take a look back. So, my overall impression is that they did 3 fairly interesting scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Wrath of Khan was a very dynamic scenario in terms of going, okay, are you going for the nebula? Are you going to stay out in normal space? What's going to happen? I know a lot of people played it in different ways. I saw a bunch of run into the nebula because it's easier to do it that way. And it makes people think about maneuvering, and it's a lot trickier, but it prevents that kind of middle joust, and it slows the game down a lot.
Yeah, what I did with that is I did like a joust feint, where I'd launch forward and then bank into the nebula, and, I was fortunate enough to take out a ship on my way by, and then basically started off the goose chase where they were the hunted and I was the hunter. And with the lack of shields, it allows for a lot of shenanigans. All those cards where you can either disable or steal or discard their cards and mess around with their builds because they have no shields in the nebula. So I got to play a lot of cards I normally don't get to.
Right. It also led to some ships that don't normally see play because they have lower shield value.
Right.
Weapon Zero was huge in my area, and that's a
here as well.
Yeah, it has no shield, so it's the perfect ship to bring into Wrath of Khan.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really cool to see on the table.
Oh, yeah. And the NX ships, both the Mir NX, and, like the Avenger, and the standard NX-01 Enterprise also saw a fair bit of play.
Oh, yeah. I got to bring in my Shapeways refit NX. Just as a model, not as any kind of card boost or anything. But that was a lot of fun to do.
I still have to mount mine onto a peg.
Oh yeah, that's a tricky thing to do.
I might just drill a tiny hole and then stick a peg into it. I haven't decided yet.
That's probably the easiest way to do it. But it looks really good, and it was a lot of fun to do that. And then Search for Spock was our first real experiment with a different deployment zone. You got one ship up kind of near the center of the map. Yeah. And that was super interesting. It actually gave the Bajoran booster a role to play.
A boost?
Yeah, it was actually people kind of going, I kind of want the Bajoran.
I've actually heard of people playing a whole bunch of interceptors in that scenario.
That makes a lot of sense.
Taking advantage of the maneuverability upgrade and the named ability where you can overlap the planet.
Yeah, that would be good fun. Plus, you got to rescue crew, so it meant that you could put crew on ships that didn't normally have crew, bioships.
Yes. Dreadnought.
Or even just more crew, and that was not a bad thing at all.
No.
Plus being able to get crew onto your booster ship, or however you were doing extra crew. It was never a bad thing. And whatever number you rescued, it helped you out. I don't think that anyone ignored that planet and left all 6 of their crew on the planet to rot.
There was the odd person who ignored it, but it was not common. And what was common is many people chose Mr. Spock to put down on the planet. So, very thematic.
Yeah. That was a good thing. And then for me, Voyage Home was probably my least favorite.
I'll agree.
And that doesn't mean it was bad. It just means that the other 2 were really good.
Definitely.
And I'm not coming into it with sour grapes. I mean, I went 1 and 2 in Wrath of Khan. I went 1 and 2 in Voyage Home. I went 2 and 1 in Search for Spock. So I'm kind of on equal footing with Record, but I was trying out fun things. This was kind of my entire OP to say, let's just experiment and see what happens. And I'm good with that. Yeah. But Voyage Home was just kind of a slogfest, and I didn't like losing attacks. And being in this like perfect position to shoot and having to go, okay, is that range 1? Because if I'm in range 1 of the probe, I don't get to shoot. And a lot of things determined by very imprecise measurements, and with a probe that didn't have a great way of movement, there were too many imprecise movements that were probably dictating games that shouldn't have been happening.
Like, honestly, what I would have done instead of using an objective token, use a clear base. Just use an extra ship base. And
maybe have an objective token underneath or something, or on top, but...
That would have been too complicated. You know, short of creating a custom token to fit on a base, you know, it just would have made it more complicated.
You honestly could have done the Doomsday Machine template. That would have been reminiscent of the Whale probe.
Yeah, it had the same kind of shape, and like as far as elongated and semi-cylindrical.
So, overall with those, movie OPs, a success, I'd say.
I would say so.
One of the better storyline OPs. Definitely better than Q.
Yeah. The last really good one, I would say, would be The Collective.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Resistance is futile. Most people just kind of forget about it.
I liked Resistance is Futile 1 I liked Collective 2 and 3. Collective 1 was eh. So you kind of go Collective 2, Collective 3, Riff 1. That made a really good 3-part series.
Yes. And the fact that it was a 6-part broken into 2 3-parts, you can still kind of recombine it how you like.
Sure.
And they were in sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there you go. I like what's out there. It gives me hope that good stuff is continuing to happen and gives me really good hope for Klingon Civil War.
Yeah, WizKids has definitely been stepping up, coming up with a little more interesting scenarios, rather than just, if you want to, you might be able to get a piddly amount of extra points, but basically just joust and kill each other. That was the old school. We're starting to break away from that, and hopefully that's the trend that will continue, and I definitely look forward to what's coming up with Klingon Civil War. Seela.
I have to leave that in now. If they don't give us a Seela card, they're not listening to people. At that point, they're blatantly ignoring one of the most important figureheads of the Klingon Civil War.
Absolutely. And I would also find it rather fascinating. It'd be cool if we got maybe a Romulan Spock, a Romulan Picard and Data.
Yeah.
Perhaps another Pardek. But the other side as well is the prizes don't always reflect the scenarios. So unfortunately we can't expect too much from that, but either way we're going to cross our fingers and hope.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable to think that it will. To some degree, those are all cards that are plausible.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of hope.
Yeah. And there has been a lot of focus prize ship-wise on Klingon, Fed, and Romulan, which granted have been the primary factions throughout the majority of the series. It really would be nice to see a little bit more love for the Independent, for the Dominion, and Bajoran even.
Yeah, I mean, Vulcan got a prize ship in the middle of Q.
Collective.
Or Collective.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, plus the Blind Booster also having a Vulcan ship.
Yeah, which, I mean, most things had a ship in the blinds, but...
Well, yeah, in those there was only 5. And once we got to this year's blinds, then we got 10.
Oh, yeah.
Ones. I'm still curious to see what they're going to do for 2016-2017. Are they going to continue? And
if we'll have another set of blinds or not, it'll be intriguing. I have no idea. So speaking of potential changes...
Yes?
I will segue all day, dang it. Our question of the week. If you could change the damage deck, modify it, tweak it in some way, what would you do to it?
I could go on for hours and hours on this subject.
Well, sure.
And that's not to put down the damage deck. That's just that I have so many different ideas and ways that we can expand it and give it more far-reaching effects.
Yeah. I guess, looking back, I probably should have been a little more specific on it. But essentially I'm going, we need to keep it at about 33 cards. So you can't just willy-nilly add cards to the deck. So if you add something, you gotta take something out.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got one that's really dirt simple. You know that damage card that says treat all turns as red maneuvers? Right. I'd like to have them add or spins to it. Simple phrasing, because if you play Borg, that card is nothing to you.
Pretty much.
But that's the thing, to Borg, a lot of these damage cards are nothing to you. So I'd really like to have a few of them hurt Borg in a little bit.
You know what would be interesting is if you could, or you had to construct a damage deck based on your fleet. So there'd be universal or generic cards like the Warp Core Breach and Direct Hits and all that are requirements. But then there'd be a limited section, so you'd have to, if you have Borg or Dominion or Fed or Romulan or whatever, you'd have to put in cards that affect your faction.
And then each player has their own damage deck. That would be interesting.
Well, each player kind of does already have their own damage deck, but just the way it's used.
Right, each player uses their own damage deck.
Yeah.
That could work.
Or you could customize a damage deck where you would use it against your opponent. So your weapons, your ships, deal damage from your damage deck.
Oh,
yeah. You'd still have to meet the minimum requirements of having like the direct hits and warp core breaches of certain levels and all that, but then you can customize the other ones. Like, let's say you have a deck, a mandatory deck of, say, 26 or even the 33 standard build, and then you can add up to, say, 7 more cards or something, buff it up to, say, 40. Or even 42.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, because 42 isn't too many cards. Any more than that, you're starting to push the limits. Unless you're going for custom games that are exceedingly large.
Right. At which point you just take 2 damage decks and smash them together. But, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. In some cases, if we're doing, added effects or other things, we could just simply add those on to existing cards. Right? So, like you could have... you've got your injured captain. It says you cannot use your captain's text or any of your talent upgrades. You could also add in a thing that says, roll a die. If you get a critical, you lose your captain. If you get a hit, then he's disabled or whatever, and then you can't use the captain text or talent upgrades. And if you roll anything else, it's just the base effect.
Right. On that vein, the cards that affect a specific upgrade type. I'm thinking of the one that makes you discard a secondary weapon. If you don't have a secondary weapon, you kind of wipe your brow and go, phew, I'm good. What I'd like those to do is if you don't have any, you have to roll an attack die. And on a hit or crit, you would suffer an additional damage. So it's it's like a half of a direct hit.
Right.
So that way, your opponent's not going, really? I got a crit through and I do nothing?
Yeah.
But this way they go, oh, I got a crit through, I do nothing, and you have to roll, and if you get a normal hit, it's just normal damage. If you roll a crit, it's another crit. That would at least make it hurt a little bit more.
Right. And alternatives to that could be either reducing your primary weapon by 2 on your next attack, or 1 while this card is face up, like the other card, or simply, if you don't have a weapon, you must discard a tech. If you don't have a tech, you must discard a crew, or so on. Just where you have to go down in order. And if you have none of these things, you just automatically take an extra face down damage.
That could work. Yeah, because I said, hey, we need another card that makes you discard crew, either choice or random. Because, crits often killed crew members. That's seen on the show all the time.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be something as extreme as like a board cutting beam doing critical damage to your ship and then also taking crew away. Something just an exploding console or a plasma leak in the corridor or whatever, EPS leak, can take out a crew member, right? Right. Things like that happen all the time. Then you've got cards like Damage Sensor Array. You cannot perform the actions listed on your action bar. Given that these are dealt out during combat, it might be nice to have an added effect of and discard any scan tokens beside your ship or something like that. Just a slight increase that isn't like a massive increase.
Right. That could work. Or discard the action token beside your ship. Let's make it even more powerful than just naming a token. Let's say, hey, if you've got an evade, which you shouldn't, a scan, a battle station, maybe leave the target lock. That would be reasonable. I'd like to see something, too, in the vein of stunned helmsman. The next time you are attacked, roll 0 defense dice.
Right.
Now, that can hurt a lot, or maybe it needs to be roll no defense dice, because apparently there's a difference there. But
yes.
You can't modify this. You can't bring this up. You are rolling no defense dice. Your ship had a power malfunction or something.
You know, your thrusters failed.
Yeah.
Like thruster failure, and you can't move, so you're a sitting duck.
Yes. But you do that, and it's, okay, hey, you're getting shot up here. And maybe that's overkill in the vein of, hey, you've already taken a crit, now you're going to take more, but I'm okay with that. Because a ship that's taking crits should die.
Oh, for sure. Critical means critical. And getting back to the minor hull breach we were talking about at the beginning, where it says, after executing a red maneuver, roll an attack die. On a hit, suffer 1 damage. Why not have a compounding effect? Like, on the second round, you roll 2. On the third round with it, you roll 3. So it's a minor hull breach that can get worse. You know, so you're either going to want to repair it, or you're going to want to kill your enemy fast, so you get a little bit of tension building, a little bit of motivation.
Could see that being very nasty.
Yeah, one thing that I would like to see is cards that disable or discard upgrades. Like something that you will just automatically lose a crew or something like that. Like explosive decompression. You know, roll a die if you get a hit or a crit, discard a crew, right? Or something like maybe power failure of some kind, where you put some time tokens on a tech upgrade. And again, include the proviso that if you don't have a tech upgrade, then choose a weapon upgrade. If you don't have a weapon upgrade, then disable a crew or something.
Yeah, because time tokens are new since the damage. And it would be good to have something to mess with time tokens. Oh,
imagine getting some time token disables on a captain. You can't just simply re-enable them. That would certainly hinder your ship.
Yeah, that really would.
That's probably the thing that would be the most harmful of all time tokenable cards.
Combo? What combo?
Conbo!
Nice. So those are some of our ideas on messing with the damage deck. I think that there's enough out there to say, hey, a new damage deck, it's perfectly reasonable. This game's been out 3 years. It's time for modifications. The game's changed so much.
It's time for revitalization.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a 2.0. We don't have to reinvent the wheel here. As much as many of us have talked about the concepts, just spice things up a bit. The spice must flow.
Hitchhikers, Dune, Star Trek. What else do you want to go for?
Well, Patrick Stewart was in Dune.
Okay. I've never watched Dune, so it's all good. So, I think that wraps it up for us in the damage deck. But let's hear what our contributors have to say. Yes, we do have contributors. It's not just the Nick and David show.
As much as you do love us. Cough, ego!
Hello there, everybody. Necromantizer here, coming to talk to you about what I think of the damage deck in its current iteration, and what I would do to kind of improve upon it. The way I see it right now, there's too much chaff in the damage deck to really be afraid of it. There's a bunch of criticals like engine room fire, injured captain, minor explosion, minor hull breach, that all have very little impact on the game while still filling up the damage deck with very low influence critical hits. Instead, I want more impactful critical hits. I want more things like Stun Helmsman, more just outright direct hits, more damage sensor array, in order to really mess with my opponent, to kind of make cloaking ships fear about taking critical hits, to give me a reason to run talents like The Day Is Ours, to give me a reason to build with criticals in mind, to treasure the critical conversions on secondary weapons, and to be worried when my opponent's bringing them against me. Not only does this give you a bit more interplay between fleet building and how you actually pilot your ships, kind of worrying about getting in range of ships that have characters like Joachim on board, but also it gives you a reason to build with damage cancellation like parametric hull plating or Quinn and all the other characters that can really put a stop to critical hits. So for my money, I would make crits a little bit more impactful, remove the chaff, and give them a bit of a buff. That would improve the damage deck in my opinion.
Hi everyone, I'm not Picard, and if I could modify the damage deck, one of the things I would definitely do is I would add some kind of hull breach card or some, failed energy field card or something like that that forced you to discard your crew cards. Like you'd hit a bulkhead and that bulkhead had been crew quarters of the ship and some crew had been sucked out into the void, and that meant you couldn't use them anymore. I know there are mechanics in the damage deck that deal with captains, and I know that there are mechanics in the damage deck that deal with like losing abilities on the action bar. I'd like to see something which could lose other abilities, and I think that would be a good way of doing it. So that would be the way I would modify the damage deck. Thanks very much. I'm not Picard.
Hello, this is Stephen Stott with Ready to Play Gaming down in Columbia, South Carolina. Here to tackle the question today, if I could modify the damage deck, what would I do to it? Well, I was thinking about this, and the only thing that I can think of perhaps in modifying the damage deck, or maybe adding to it, which would be probably a more feasible thing to do, is to add a couple of situations where you would have time tokens as the debilitating factor, as opposed to rolling the dice for a hit or a crit to cancel out the effect of the crit. So what I would surmise, like say some type of damage, maybe like console fire or something like that, where you, instead of having an action to get rid of it, you place like 3 time tokens on it. Then after 3 time tokens, that crit would revert to a hit automatically, just due to simulated time. Really, that's kind of the only thing I can think of. So that's my input for this week. Hope you all are doing well. This is Stephen Stott from Ready to Play Gaming, hoping all your dice rolls are hits and evades.
Hello players, we've got another must-have that's been in the queue as far back as the Enterprise C. And now that WizKids has announced a retail release, let's beat them to the punch this time. Go back to the movies, fill out that lineage, and build the Enterprise B. Up front, I'm assuming WizKids won't give us new Excelsior stats or a model. But I hope to be surprised, so we'll do it anyway. We're going to take its hull up to 5, giving us a stat line of 3, 1, 5, 5, 28 points, front 180, rear 90, typical Fed action bar. Text, you may reduce the cost of any number of upgrades assigned to the ship by -1 to a minimum of 2. At the start of the game, place 2 time tokens on one of these cards, 3 on another, 4 on another, and so on. 2 crew, 2 tech in the weapon. Generic drops a shield in a tech slot. Captain John Harriman, he relies on having a good crew, so 3 points, 5 skill, fed unique. Add 1 crew or tech slot to your ship. For each non-disabled crew upgrade assigned to your ship, gain +1 captain skill to a max of 8. For each disabled crew assigned to your ship, each time you defend, you may reroll 1 blank result once. And you may field the Veteran Experience Elite talent. That talent's a 4-point fed unique. Action. Discard this card and place 2 time tokens on your captain. Remove all disabled and time tokens from all crew or all tech upgrades. Crew time. James T. Kirk. 3 points fed unique. If your captain is discarded, this card becomes your new captain to skill 6. At any time, you may discard this card to roll +2 defense dice and reroll all blank results each time you defend this round. Check off. 3 points fed unique. Disable this card to remove the disabled token or a time token from another crew upgrade. Or discard to perform the action of another crew upgrade even if it's disabled. You do not need to add disabled or time tokens to the crew upgrade if required. Scotty, 4 points fed unique. At any time, you may disable this card to remove up to 2 auxiliary tokens from beside your ship. Action. Discard this card to flip over any number of critical damage cards assigned to your ship. Place an aux beside your ship for each card flipped after the first. Demora Sulu, 2 points fed unique. When revealing a red maneuver, disable to treat it as a light maneuver. Or, at any time, discard to immediately perform a green maneuver on your dial. Tech time. Medical Bay. This is a question mark that can be treated as crew or tech. 5 points, non-unique. At the start of the game, place 3 time tokens on the card. During the activation phase, if there aren't any time tokens on it, you may perform the action of a crew upgrade as a free action. If you do, place 3 time tokens on the card. At any time, if there are less than 5 time tokens on the card, you may place 3 time tokens on the card to prevent a crew upgrade from being disabled. No ship can have more than 1. Tractor Beam, 3-point tech, fed non-unique. Disable to target an opposing ship at range 1 to 2 and roll 2 attack dice. Roll can't be modified. Target ship suffers no damage but doesn't roll any defense. If you roll at least 1 crit or 2 hits, the target ship rolls 1 less defense die against all attacks this round and cannot select a speed greater than 1 during the next planning phase. No ship can have more than 1. Transporter Room, 3-point fed non-unique. If your ship is destroyed, immediately target a friendly ship within range 1 and select up to 2 crew or your captain and 1 optional crew. Move to the target ship. The additional crew may be added to the target ship even if it exceeds restrictions. If you move the captain, you must discard the captain on the target ship and replace it with this one. Don't remove any disabled or time tokens from the moved cards, if any. Resonance Pulse, 4 points fed, non-unique. Action, discard this card and disable at least 1 active shield. Target a ship at range 1 and roll 1 attack die for each shield disabled. Target ship rolls no defense, roll can't be modified. Crits deal no damage. Instead, you may spend up to 2 crits to either immediately move your ship or the target ship full reverse at a speed equal to the number of crits spent. Hits deal normal damage, max of 2. Lastly, Photorps, 4 points, 4 attack, range 2 to 3. Attack, spins your target lock, and place 3 time tokens on the card. You may reroll all blank results, and you can add +1 if fired from an Excelsior refit class starship, and make the attack from your forward or rear arcs. And there's the last of the Enterprises. Hopefully we'll get a new sculpt and stats for this refit. Till we know for sure, let us know how this plays for you, and keep thinking outside that box.
Hi, this is Dave Griffin. Today we're talking about the Destroy the Weapon Platform mission. This one came with the Montgolfier and recreates DS9's Tears of the Prophet episode. Now, on the Dominion side, it comes with 120 points, at least 3 Dominion ships on the north edge and the Orbital Weapon Platform. And the Orbital Weapon Platform is the objective token placed anywhere on the board they like as long as it's more than range 2 from any edge. It's 6026, that's right, 6 primary weapon. It has 3 possible actions every round: scan, battle stations, or target lock. It has a very Borg-like 360 range 1 to 2 arc, and it has a very powerful perk, and that is it has a full repair of all of its shields at the end of every turn. Essentially, it's like the Equinox if it was able to do its action free every turn. Now, the special rules are the game ends at the end of turn 8, and how you do that is you put 8 mission tokens by the side of the board, remove 1 at the end phase of every turn, and when they're all gone, the game is over. On the Dominion side, if they destroy all the Fed ships and their orbital weapons platform is destroyed, then they have a marginal victory. If they destroy all the Fed ships before the game ends and the orbital weapon platform is not destroyed, they have a complete victory. If the Feds destroy the orbital weapon platform but not all the Dominion ships and have 1 ship or more remaining, they win a marginal victory. And if they destroy the orbital weapon platform and the Dominion ships before the end of the game and they have at least 1 or more ships remaining, then they win a complete victory. And that means if you don't destroy the orbital weapons platform as the Alliance player, you have no chance of winning. So keep that in mind when you select your targets. I would say that this mission is balanced about 55-45 in favor of the Dominion. Normally, you're probably thinking orbital weapons platforms are useless because we have a lot of experience with them in missions and OPs, and they hardly ever are in any way frightening. But this one is lethal. It's got a 6 primary weapon that doesn't go down at any time during the mission. It has good action selection. It has great firing arcs, and it repairs its shields every round. That basically tells you that as the Alliance player, you cannot destroy the orbital weapons platform with a single ship. I don't care if it's the Scimitar fully charged. You really need 2 or more ships to do it because one of them has to knock down the shield and the other one destroys the Orbital Weapons platform. So you probably don't want to leave the Orbital Weapons platform till the end. Now, on the other hand, the Dominion doesn't want to outrun their weapons platform. If they outrun it so that the Orbital Weapons platform can't shoot, you have a much better chance of destroying the ships and still having 2 or more ships to go destroy the Orbital Weapons platform. So that's not a wise thing for them to do. They don't want to take one of their ships and put them out of the fight. But on the other hand, if they keep you occupied and you don't get around to the Orbital Weapons platform till the end, even if you destroy the ships, you might well find out that you do not have enough ships to destroy it. So what you should probably do is take advantage of the fact that the Klingon-Romulan Federation alliance will probably have higher captain skills, and you can set up in such a way that you can possibly make a run for the Orbital Weapons platform first, maybe catch them by surprise, or try to arrange it so that one of their ships, not the Orbital Weapons platform because you'll be shooting at that, but one of their other ships may not be in the position to shoot. So if you do just a normal joust, you're giving the Dominion what they want. So try to be a little imaginative here. If you have a good and a less experienced player, I would say put the less experienced player on the Dominion side. But remember, on the Dominion side, you want that orbital weapon platform to be shooting at the enemy. So try to move in such a way that orbital weapons platform has a shot. Really, the only downside is it's only got a captain skill of 1, since it's not mentioned on the card. So have a good time with this. It's really dependent on how good your build is. Chances are, if you try this mission a few times with different builds, you'll find that different strategies make a big difference as to which side wins. I'd rate this as 3.5 stars, say it's one of the more balanced scenarios, and say that I think it's worth playing. So go ahead and do that, and I'll see you next week.
And now it's time for the Warp Core Breach Top 3. We count them up from 3 to 1, and then we toss it over to our contributors, so you get the best bang for your buck. This episode's top 3, top non-Federation, non-mine technology. Yeah, that's a little bit of a mouthful.
Alright, who's the wiser guy, huh?
So, we had to exempt Fed because there's some pretty good Fed tech.
Mm-hmm. And they do get all the toys.
They do get a lot of the toys. Now, I actually looked at my list and I thought about Fed. The only Fed tech that would actually fit here isn't really a tech. It just gives you a tech, and that's systems upgrade. So,
yeah,
I'm actually kind of going, maybe.
No. Honorary mention?
Yeah. I'm kind of like, wow, I didn't need the non-Fed part. I more just wanted the non-cloaked mines, because if you don't have cloaked mines on a top tech list, you're doing it wrong.
That's just wrong, okay?
And I can already tell that my list may cause a slight stir of controversy, but I'm okay with that. We'll see where that goes. So, you want to kick us off with your number 3 here, Nick?
Well, tech is kind of my favorite upgrade category because I'm quite the techie in real life, and it's one of those things that irks me when a Federation ship doesn't come with tech slots. Hello, Enterprise D! But they're so much fun to play with. I would definitely say my number 3 pick would be any of the cloaking device cards, the ones that add the ability to cloak to an existing ship. Now, it may not always be cost-effective depending on what you're putting it on, but I'm focusing primarily on the added effect. The ability to add the extra 4 defense dice, the sensor echo capability. It's so much fun, and I really believe that sensor echoes are underused by many players that do actually still use cloak.
Oh, yeah.
I can't tell you how many games I've watched where people are cloaking left, right, and center, and they never sensor echo. And you see the perfect opportunities passing them by where they could get the jump on their enemy.
Yeah, I know the last time I played a cloaking ship, which isn't all that often, but when I actually sensor echoed, I got a look from my opponent of like, wait, you can do that? I'm like, yeah? They're like, oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. So, okay. Cool pick. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
My number 3 is Cryogenic Stasis.
Oh, a lovely card.
Yeah. More crew. You just have to spend some actions. But guess what? You spend those actions at the beginning of the game, when, for the most part, your actions don't matter.
You're quite often throwing them away anyway.
Yeah, so why not spend actions to get crew? Granted, they're cheaper crew, but they're crew that don't use crew slots.
So you can get your cruise liner going a little more effectively when you don't get the slots.
Yeah.
End up costing you the same because it's just tit for tat, point for point, but it does allow you to fill it up a little bit more.
Right. And that's worth it to me.
Mm-hmm. And it's not like Maltz is a tech.
Right. It's kind of like no reason to dislike cryostasis.
Exactly.
All right. Your number 2.
My number 2 is also in the cloaking theme. It's the Romulan Tech Advanced Cloaking. Built into the Scimitar, this puppy allows you to put it on any ship, and for now, it only comes with the collective blind ship, Vortavor. Yeah. I've actually gone out of my way to get extras so that my people can get their hands on this upgrade. Being able to fire while cloaked and stay cloaked is pretty damn awesome.
Yep. The Valdor loves this, if you can get a hold of a tech slot for the Valdor, but it naturally wants to do green moves, so kind of no harm.
True?
Yeah.
Granted, it's a DS9 promo card. Hopefully, many of you have been able to get your hands on one.
It's a retail DS9, too, so...
Yeah, again, it's a little bit of a purchase leap for some players, but, yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah.
And, like, how many ways is there to take advantage of something like this and, just shed off the Ox token with multiple green maneuvers?
Yeah. I mean, hey, text like Captain Valdor. That's easy, and that's retail, so.
Boom, there you go.
Totally doable. But yeah, tons of ways to do green moves to shed the Ox, especially... within Romulans, they have enough green moves on their dials, so...
Yes.
I'm with you. It's a cool tech. Didn't make my list, made my kind of longer list, but definitely up there.
Mm-hmm. What's your number 2, David?
That is improved deflector screens.
That's my number 1.
Okay. I was kind of thinking it might be up there for you, but yeah, improved deflector screens. Just, I'm going to cancel that crit.
Yeah, thanks, bye-bye.
You're taking 1 less damage every time you're attacked.
Yes.
That's
as long
awesome.
as you can maintain your shields, you're laughing.
Yeah. There's plenty of times where improved deflector screens is the card that saves my ships from dying.
Mm-hmm. And the beautiful thing about it is it's a great way to bring forth those lower hull ships that may or may not have been even considerable prior. So it's expanding the possibilities of your fleet builds. It's breathing new life into the ones that were already good, like, say, Alpha Hunter types.
Oh, yeah.
It's just wonderful.
Yeah. And we've talked enough about improved deflector screens. It's a wonderful card.
Yeah. It's a wonderful life.
So we're just going to move on to my number 1, and that is Projected Stasis Field.
Oh, wow. God, I love that one.
You do. For an action, you're canceling an attack, you're lowering their shield, so you're probably cutting their durability in half, give or take. Mm-hmm. That's never a bad thing.
No, because you can set them up for just about anything. There's all those cards I talked about with the Wrath of Khan Nebula scenario where the shields are down. You could do all sorts of things to their ships without having to whittle down their shields first, because you just knock them out in one fell swoop. Of course, the most epic response, which is one of my toughest builds, that has projected stasis field and barrage of fire. It's like, okay, I'm taking down your shields with my ship number 3. Then with my ship number 1, I'm combining the attack of ship number 1 and 2, and then I'm going to hammer you for 9 or more dice. Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
I've taken out bioships in one attack with that quite easily.
Oh, yeah, because why not?
Yeah, even Borg ships.
It's totally doable. You got to get them in arc, but when you do, they're in big trouble.
Somebody gonna get hurt real bad.
But yeah, Projected Stasis Field is one of those cards that was super good early game, like when the game came out. And then it seemed to fall out of favor for everyone. Like no one was talking about it. And now everybody's talking about it again.
Yeah, it was just kind of more of a focus shift. It's not like it lost its effectiveness. It's just people's attention was drawn elsewhere. And then down the road they went, oh, hey, everyone, you remember this?
Yeah.
Here's Johnny.
Which I never understood why people shifted away from it in the Dreadnought era. Because if you've got one big ship, take out half their durability? Yeah, that sounds feasible. But yeah, I get it.
Part of it is what it does to your ship as well. Like, you got to do it on a build that has at least 2 ships. Like, if you're just going full-on single-ship Dreadnought, it's not exactly the best idea to use this.
You're absolutely
You can still take advantage of it. Yeah. You want to give it a 1-2 punch with this card. This is, on its own, it's okay. In combination with something else, whether it's another ship or another ability, it's amazing. And that's really where it shines.
Yes. So there you go. That's 5 of our best tech. Improved deflector screens is the Warp Core Breach number 1. And certainly not a bad number 1 at all. They're all really good. There's some marvelous tech out there.
Yeah, and if people are wondering why we didn't say cards like Interface Generator and some of the other ones, for me, I wanted to leave some of the obvious ones out just to cover more ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying was going to cause a little bit of controversy was, hey, where's Interface Generator? It's a really great tech, and it's hard to deny what it does.
But we know it's a really great tech already. We want to hear what else people love.
I mean, we know Projected Stasis Field is a really good tech, and I said it anyways, because I can't
But not
deny
everybody thinks of it.
True. So
everybody that plays a cloaked ship at least considers Interface Generator.
Yes.
But Projected Stasis Field is still one of those things that someone either may not have, may not think of, or just has so many other options that it's not always top of their list. But in some cases, maybe it should be once in a while.
Yes. Run it more, people. Run it more. All right, but contributors, tell us your top tech. That's what we want to hear.
Yeah, it's not like you listen to this podcast to listen to us talk. Oh, wait.
Maybe you do.
Hi everyone, I'm not Picard, and my favourite non-Federation, non-cloaked mine tech is Projected Stasis Field. I think Projected Stasis Field is a brilliant card, lots of tactical options to it. It's got lots of combos, lots of nice things it does, and it basically halves the survivability of a ship that is hit by it for a cost of losing some of the attack dice and your shields on the ship that uses it. So I think it's a really nice card, a really thematic card, a card that allows Klingons to play the kind of hard control game. So that would be my favourite tech. That's Projected Stasis Field. I'm not Picard.
Hello, this is Stephen Stott with Ready to Play Gaming down in Columbia, South Carolina. Well, for me, as you all know, I love Vulcans. And when it comes to the Vulcan tech upgrade, my favorite that I always play when I play Vulcans, particularly, well, it has to be with the Surak class ship. That tech upgrade is the combat vessel variant. It's a 5-point upgrade, but you get 3 things with that upgrade. First, you get a +1 to the primary attack value for that ship. Then you get +1 for the hull strength of that ship, which is very important. And 3, you also get, as another upgrade, is you get an upgrade slot for a weapon. Put that bad boy on the Tamir, which is one of my favorite ships to run, and put one of my favorite captains, Vanek, on it. Guess what? Now you have a Tamir that is viable and staying long in the fight, but it also adds some pretty unique weapon upgrade capabilities there. With the combat vessel variant, it's firing now at a primary of 3. The ship's ability gets to disable, you can disable a tech upgrade to add 1. So since you have 2 tech on there, Vanek, you can put the power grid on there for 0 points. Now you can use that as a quick disable. That's punching that ship up to the tech of 4. Now, let's say, for example, you do some cross leveling and you add the for that extra weapon upgrade slot that you have now, you add the Type A phasers to it. Now that ship has a capability of throwing 5 dice, which makes it formidable with any of your other combat ships that are out there. I've had great success running that combination. So without a doubt, combat vessel variant is my favorite. I know I rambled, but hey, that's Vulcans and I love them. This is Steve Stott with Ready to Play Gaming, hoping all your dice rolls are hits and evades. Take care. Bye.
Hi, this is Dave Griffin. Today we're talking about our favorite tech that is non-Federation and not cloaked mines. For me, there's not much of a problem with that. It's monotanium armor plating. The reason I pick that over improved deflector screen is if you're up against a Romulan or a Klingon opponent who is cloaking, there's nothing better to ruin their day than to prevent them from doing target locks. So that's my choice, monotanium armor plating. Thanks, and I'll see you next week.
Hello there, everybody. Necromantizer here, coming to talk to you all about what I would consider to be the #1 non-Federation, non-cloaked mine bit of tech in the game currently. Now, there's a lot of options to consider when going for top tech, whether it's something that's going to be boosting your attack dice, like biological technology, something that's a little bit more mundane, but focused on action economy, like Agony Booth. But I think in the end, you have to focus on what tech is going to give you the most bang for your buck and really change the tide of the battle. And there's no real contest for what tech gives you exactly that, and that would be projected stasis field. This Klingon tech is going to shut down an opposing ship's shields. It's going to stop them from attacking this round. It provides you a really big target to focus on because now the enemy ship is vulnerable. It stops them from attacking you back if they're at a higher captain skill than you. So it works really well against dreadnoughts or really heavily point-invested ships. And so anytime you can take out a really big and important enemy ship, that's going to be a time you're going to want projected stasis field. And since so many people are going to be running at least one big ship, there's very few times when projected stasis field is a bad option, making it my choice for the #1 tech in the game currently.
So, we have more wonderful news for you on the new Star Trek series front. While we all know about the CBS All Access limit to the US, Canada is going to have the show available through Bell Media. Now, I'm not certain if that's also going to be through a streaming service that they're offering, or if it's going to be through, Bell Media related channels through their cable satellite systems or what. But for those not in the US and Canada, I'm not sure if it was 88 or 188 because different sources added or left off that 100. There'll be 88 or 188 different countries, including the UK, that Netflix will be receiving the new Star Trek series 24 hours after each episode airs. So wait 24 hours, you'll get to watch it on Netflix if you're not in the US or Canada.
Yay.
Of course, the two of us.
Yeah. I think that's a first for Netflix going episode by episode release.
Yeah, that's they've done it with a number of different shows, but usually those are shows produced by Netflix. So, yeah, for an outside source, that's quite the coup. And some sources say that Netflix is the one that scooped all the Star Trek series, but I can confirm that we have both Crave TV and Show Me also having all the Star Trek series on them, so it's not an exclusive.
Okay.
But it is great that the different services, we've got Star Trek everywhere, so any of those three, you're going to have your Trek fix no matter what.
Which is awesome.
Call your cable company today!
But wait, there's more!
There's more?
Paramount said, hey, you know what? This is all doing so well, let's make Star Trek 4.
Ooh. Are we talking about whales again, or what?
Well, we're talking about bringing back a dead man. Because they said they're bringing back Kirk's father.
Interesting. Return of Thor? Could this
Yes.
be what causes Ragnarok?
Yes.
Well, either way, will be the fourth in the new reboot Kelvin timeline movies. And I'm definitely looking forward to the one coming this week. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what else we'll find.
Yeah. At this point, it's good to be a Star Trek fan.
Oh, yeah. Like, some people are biased, original series, or the TNG movies, or just simply, anti-JJ verse, Kelvin timeline. Hey, I'm a Trek fan from the beginning to the end. Slap the name on it as long as I'm entertained, and I'm good. It's just another variation, it's another way to play it. I'm into it one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, give me good acting, give me good stories, give me fun stories.
Yeah. The one thing I will put out there, if anybody, Simon Pegg, J.J. Abrams, or any of them ever get to hear this episode, give us more of the triangle. Give us more of Kirk, Bones, and Spock. That was the heart and soul of the original series. That's what really drove it all home. Let's have more of the three of them interacting, their relationship. The back and forth, the love, the hate, the frustration, the camaraderie, the brotherhood. We need more of that in the reboot to really make it Star Trek.
Yeah, it's looking like we might get a little bit of that byplay in Star Trek 3, but we'll see.
Jury's still out.
Yeah. So, we'll find out. But
Core breach in 10.
I think that's going to wrap it up for
9,
us. So, until
8,
next time,
7,
goodbye, and thanks
6,
for all the fish.
5,
Or the aquatics.
4,
This is Nick.
3,
And this is David.
2,
Ejecting the
1.
core.
Warp core ejected.
Warp Core Breach is produced by Nick Norris and David Montgomery, with additional content from our contributors. Our computer is voiced by Corinne Donnelly.
Warp Core Breach is not endorsed, sponsored, or affiliated with CBS Studios Incorporated or the Star Trek franchise. All Star Trek trademarks and logos are owned by CBS Studios Incorporated.
All sound files are used under Creative Commons 3.0 by attribution. For specifics, please visit our Facebook page by searching Warp Core Breach Podcast. If you want to contribute to the show, let us know on the Facebook page, or you can email us at warpcorebreachpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, I know the line is so long, and thanks for all the fish, but goodbye was fitting. No, it's not the end of Warp Core Breach. We'll be back. Don't worry.